Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, then you are missing out. So today I'm so excited because I'll be discussing the education system in the Philippines and that of Africa. Okay, let's say Ghana specifically. So I need to first of all clarify this before I even proceed to the topic. The purpose of this video is not to compare which one is better than which one. No, that is not the purpose of this video. But the purpose of this video is, first of all, to educate all of us. Secondly, for the international students, you need to know all these things before you decide to come in school in the Philippines. Okay, so it's for us to know. It's just basically educate, not to compare, because each ways are all better. Okay, both of them are better. None is better than each other. You just have to adjust and then you are good to go. So first of all, I would like to start with the school building, right? The buildings in the Philippines for the school are quite smaller. When I say quite smaller, I am doing a comparison here. So let me start with Africa. Let me start with Ghana specifically. In Ghana, okay, which I know is same for Nigeria, same for other African countries, not all of them, but then most of them, the universities have hostels or dorms on the same campus, right? Good. And then it is super big. When I say it's big, to compare it with, let me use Cebu. When we talk about, for the Filipinos to understand, when I talk about Cebu, it's like the whole Aurelio is university. So you have a whole barangay, or you have a whole a whole barangay being school, the whole barangay, right? So for the universities in Africa, you don't go home, right? Your hostels are on campus, you sleep on campus. Not all of them, if you want, but then the hostels are on campus and then they are quite bigger. That's another thing. And the school buildings are there. So let me use, for instance, University of Ghana. University of Ghana is very big, and then it has like different faculties, different departments, and then also the hostels are there. And sometimes for you to maybe move from your classroom to your hostel, you even need to pick a car, right? You need to pay transport to get there. That is that of Africa, right? And for you to also get it here, a whole block, like let's say the Department of Pharmacy or the Department of MedTech, the block of that unit in Africa, it's like a whole university in the Philippines. I hope I am actually making sense. I hope you guys are understanding. So a whole department, which is not the whole university, you have that being like a whole university in the Philippines, because they don't have hostels. The hostels are not attached to the school, right? Good. Now let's go to in the Philippines. In the Philippines, it's just campuses. You just have your classes there. You don't stay on the same campus. So you go home and you come back. You go and come back. You stay. You can just get apartments around your school, just like that. Not to say that you don't have that in Africa. Some students prefer to stay off campus, but then you have the hostels around, and then you would choose to be off campus. That is not like that in the Philippines. There is no hostel. Okay, you have to rent an apartment outside the school. Why is this very important? It's very important so that when you are choosing an apartment, you get a place closer to school. Because if you go to a place that is very far, it's gonna be like a bit discomfort. It might not be very comfortable, right? So that is the important thing. universities in Africa has like a whole community, a whole barangay being the university. Whilst in the Philippines, it's a building, okay? Not to say they are not big, they are very big. But then compared to African, it could be a whole town being the university, okay? Where you have to walk some distance from your hostel to your campus and everything. It's very big. But Philippines is just the university is just the school building, because the hostels are not there. So it's quite understandable. It makes sense, because if you are just gonna go to class, then if you are not gonna sleep there, then you don't need a lot of buildings, you don't need a lot of, like, you just have your department. Okay, there's a pharmacy block, this, but then you don't need like all those buildings. So that is one. Two is the uniform. Yeah, the uniform is something you should know. In the university in Africa, let's say Ghana specifically, we don't wear uniform. This is what is done. Based on the course that you are offering, you try to learn to dress like how you would dress when you start working. You need to dress professional. So let's say if you are a doctor, you want to become a doctor, whilst in first year, you are taught how to dress. So if you're a guy, maybe your long sleeve, your tie, your neatly ironed trousers, and your black shoe, like that. You need to dress properly. If maybe you want to be a lawyer, then maybe your black and white, you always have to be in your black and, but then it's not a uniform. You can be in any dress once it's official. We don't go to school in the university or the colleges. We don't wear uniform, right? Unlike the Philippines, in the Philippines, you wear uniform. Yes, you wear uniform. Very important. Uniform is very, very important. So if like, it's so important to understand that if you are going to school and you don't have uniform on, you can't enter the school premises. You get it? It is so important. And then per the course that you do, you have your own unique uniform. One thing I noticed that is that there's medical students, it looks like everybody wear white, like for the medical student, but maybe different designs. But then it's a uniform you wear from Monday to whenever you finish school and everything. Along the line, the colors change, maybe the design and everything change, but then it is a uniform in the Philippines. Now, the school time, okay, you go in the Philippines, okay, let me start with Africa. You go to school very early, maybe 6, 7, 8. Mostly lectures start at 8 o'clock, right? And then it ends, we don't have ending time. It depends on each school, the lecturer, but mostly around 5, yeah. In the Philippines, I think it's the same. School starts quite early, but then you have to be in class before your lecturer comes, same as Africa. So I think that is one common similarities. And then in the Philippine, class can end around 9, 7, anytime. All right. So that's another thing. Now let's go to the fees, which is very, very important. Back in Africa, unless you are on scholarship, you pay fees in the university or college, right? It's constant. But then in the Philippines, the colleges are free. You don't pay fees. But please bear in mind, they are free for the Filipinos, not the foreigner. Not the foreigner. They are free for the Filipinos, right? The colleges, most of the colleges are free. Especially the government schools are free. You only pay something little for the miscellaneous. All right? So that is very, very important. But then there's this particular course that you need to pay. Whether you are in a government school or you are in a private school, that is medicine. You will pay your fees. Yeah, that one, it doesn't matter. Whether you're in private, public school or you are in a government school. In Philippines, it's like public and then private. So whether you're in public or private, it doesn't matter. You need to pay your fees. But then for the other courses like nursing, medtech, let's say the other courses, engineering, you don't pay fees as a Filipino. It's based on the school. But then what I know is that for the government schools, the public schools, you don't pay. you only pay something little for miscellaneous. But then for the private schools, you pay your fees. Yeah. So that's another thing. Now let's look at the grading system. The grading system is something else. In the Philippines, okay, let me start with Africa. So in Africa or in Ghana, 50% is the pass mark. And then before you get that 50%, God, hey, some schools ahead 40. Before you can get that 40, you would have sweat like helter skelter. Like, oh baby, you suffer to get that thing, that percentage, right? It is very hard to get. Very, very, very hard to get that percentage. But then in the Philippines, 75 is the pass mark. Yeah, 75. A is from 90. Yeah, I think from 90 to 100 is an A, something like that. I'm not so sure. But then the most important thing is that when you get 74.5, you have failed. You have failed. Yes. So the grading system is something you should actually look at when you want to study in the Philippines. 75% is the pass mark. Below 75 is failure. Yeah. Now, below 75 is failure. So these are things that I think you should know. First one, the school building. Filipino having smaller building, African having bigger, a whole city or a whole town being the school. The uniform in African, no uniform. In the Philippines, there is a uniform. The fees in the government schools in the Philippines, it's free. You only pay miscellaneous. Plus, in African, you pay fees for the colleges. The grading system, 75 is the pass mark. 40 or 50 pays on the school is the pass mark. So I really hope you learned a lot. Because once you want to school in the Philippines or any other country, you need to consider these. These are things that you should know. For me, I think these are important. And then I know this video would also help most people to know why. Because I remember one time a Filipino asked this question: why do foreigners come to the Philippines to study? Okay. And I was quiet. But then I know that people go to every country to study. So it's not like maybe Philippines is the only country where foreigners come. Foreigner goes to every country to study. But then in this video, you know why most people will come to Philippines to study. It's not because maybe there's no school. No, it's not because that. But then for them to build a school in Africa, it's like you need a whole town. That is not to say we don't have schools that are smaller. Private schools are coming up that are like, they build just like Philippines and everything, but then it's fewer. And the government schools are more like than the distance. So basically that is it. So it's very important that if you want to study in the Philippines, you get to know all these things. I hope you learned a lot. Kindly subscribe, comment, like, share, and then please, if I said something you don't like, just let me know. I'll work on it. We are all human. We are learning each and every day. So, no offense.